The original Alien by Ridley Scott and its sequel Aliens from James Cameron are two of the most beloved sci-fi survival horror films ever produced. Since then, the Alien franchise has never reached the heights of fandom that those two films achieved. This week, Alien Romulus attempts to do what its predecessors could not do, deliver a film worthy of the Alien franchise. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This week we had a chance to view Alien Romulus. I was excited to see it. I loved the original Alien films, and although I was disappointed with many of the sequels that came after, my expectations were still high for this one. This will be a spoiler-free review, and as always, let's start with the positive before getting critical. But before that, a quick plot synopsis. Rain and Andy are siblings. Sort of. And they're basically indentured servants for the Weyland Corporation on a distant mining planet. Their group of friends discover a ship in orbit and decide to board it to search for a way to escape their grim future. Since this is an alien movie, you can guess where things go from there. Facehuggers, chest bursts, and xenomorphs in basically that order. That's all I'll say about the plot because the script does try to give you some scares and twists, but like I said, I don't want to ruin it for you if you plan on seeing it this weekend. So, the positives. If you're looking for a film that looks and feels like the originals, Romulus is for you. The production team, which included Ridley Scott, did their utmost to ensure that the vehicles, the technology, the environments, and the majority of the special effects mimicked those from Alien and Aliens. The monitors are the old cathode tube TVs, the design of the doors and the furniture, the handheld devices that sense heat signatures, and basically just how everything functions and how the characters interact with their environment are alien accurate. Even the internal superstructures that get exposed from either explosions or xenomorph blood match up with the previous film designs. There is no doubt that you are in Ridley Scott's world during this time between the original film and its immediate sequel. Now, the special effects are a tricky one to review. If you remove the third act, more specifically the last part of the third act, then the effects, which were mostly practical effects, were just amazing to see. A true reminder of how practical effects in films are a form of art, and this film certainly had master craftsmen working on it. The costuming, the gore, the puppeteering, even the post-production editing for color scheme are downright perfect for an Alien film. And speaking of gore, there is certainly more gore in this film than the first two. A lot of blood, and at times, it was a little hard to watch. And that's the thing we'll get into with this film, is that there were certainly some basic horror influences, Resident Evil type motifs going on here, along with Evil Dead type levels of graphic gore, which should be expected. It is Fede Alvarez, director and writer of the new Evil Dead and Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He definitely brought a lot of that film world into this one. And as we talk about these production values, they would also include the lighting, the sound, the music, all of that, which again is as good as it gets when it comes to this franchise. Unfortunately, that is the peak of achievement with this film. There is some good acting in it. Kaylee Spaney does a decent job as Rain, our main protagonist, and David Johnson steals the film as Andy, her brother, who has to essentially play two different roles as his character is affected by events the most. In fact, he does the one thing that the rest of the cast is unable to do, make you care about them. If there is one person you're rooting for in this whole survival game, it's Andy. David Johnson delivers a sympathetic performance even when he's not a sympathetic character, and you want to see him make it to the end. Rain comes in second. Her character goes through a tough arc, that of timid, oppressed young woman to survival daredevil, but since she's in the Ripley role, her journey is more expected than that of her siblings, which is why his is more impressionable. The pacing of the film was great. I could see where it was trying to build tension, to build suspense. It certainly made use of the environment, cramped spaces, darkened hallways, malfunctioning doors, that type of stuff. It did it really well. Now, the first half of the film is the better half. Although you don't like many of the characters themselves, some of them you can't wait to see meet their end. The film uses a less is more approach with foreshadowing, movement, camera angles, and lighting. And if you're reviewing this film with honesty, you have to put the overall atmosphere in the win column. But then, it got boring. I was actually bored while watching the second half of the film, and by the last 10 minutes, I was just wishing it would end already. The script does a great job establishing Rain and Andy and the initial premise of the film. There's not much else in the way of exposition except when you get to one of these surprise cameos, but the script lets things happen until it needs to be more forceful, and that is where the movie just sort of meanders away from anything original or exciting. It becomes safe and formulaic. It became a rehash of everything we've seen before. I was not even bothered that I did not see a xenomorph until about halfway through the film. There was plenty to do with the facehuggers, and there were a lot of them, by the way. Most facehuggers in any Alien film I've ever seen. And like I said earlier, some of the cast, well, most of them besides Rain and Andy, you don't care if they live. In fact, Bjorn is one that you outright hate. The others, you see them as fodder for the plot. This lack of attachment to the characters is due to two things. One, the way they come across, just absolute jerks, not very caring at all. And second, they make stupid decisions, and as audiences, we are way past the allowing for stupid decisions in horror movies phase. It's not the 1970s. It's 2024. When you have been given clear evidence of a threat and the solution to eliminate that threat, but decide to not actually accept that advice and act on it because of reasons passing any understanding, then you are no longer a character we care about, and your actions are hurting the overall script and quality of the film. And that's the big issue with this film. The script has very thin logic and motivations to it at various times, and it never goes into full-blown panic mode. It becomes predictable. Even a so-called shocking twist ending is seen coming a mile away, and it doesn't really translate well on screen. And like I said, spoiler for review, but know this, the end, which should have been cut, is executed for gore shock only, and the CGI used here is terrible, and it just did not add to the story. Even the inclusion of the second cameo to try to give this film connective tissue to the rest of the franchise, because it really does not have one besides having xenomorphs in it, didn't work at all. And because of this tacked on ending, the film felt so long, I was ready to go. It was not the type of film to keep me glued to my seat. It was not terrible overall, but it wasn't great. It was mid, average, very flawed, forgettable. But also I have to give it its flowers. It was full of dedication and fidelity to the source material, and was doing its best to deliver that experience to a new audience. It just didn't get the job done. Is it worth seeing in the theaters? No. It's not a film that you have to see in the theaters. I wouldn't tell you that you need that experience. It just does not have that type of feel to it. I think you'll enjoy it much more in the comfort of your own home, on your own big screen, with the ability to pause and just walk away when you get bored with it. And that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Will you see Alien Romulus in theaters? If you have already, do you think it delivered? And if you want more movie reviews and commentary, click on the links in the description for my general movie review playlist and my retro movie review playlist. As well, if you like this video, consider hitting the like button, subscribing, and sharing it out. It really helps us out each week. As always, I thank you for watching, and remember, I'm still your reluctant gringo from south of the border. Salud and a huevo.